I'm Tony, he's Mike, and we are here for part 2 of Quick and Dirty Internationale. Like the coffee, like the House of Pancakes, global.
Yep.
So, and this episode, we are talking about another Korean film, this one available on Netflix. It was supposed to be released in 2019, got delayed because of COVID, actually got bought by Netflix for international distribution, and it is the sci-fi spaciest space opera that we've ever watched, and it is called Space Sweepers. And this was an accidental find. This was just kind of one of those Netflix recommends, and I thought, I'm not doing anything for the next 2.5 hours. Let's go. And I was genuinely entertained. And in case you're wondering, the title of the film, it basically covers the crew of a spaceship, and they are contractors that go out and clear debris from outer space, so it doesn't interfere with space traveling or satellites or anything like that, or the space stations that are there. The Earth is dying because of global catastrophe, and they're terraforming Mars, and they're trying to turn that into a new Eden, essentially, is how it's phrased in the film. There's a lot going on. It is definitely not a plot-light film, and they threw everything but the kitchen sink at this one. If you had an idea about science fiction, it's in there.
Yeah, no shit. And again, in this one, I watched the dub version, and Tony watched the subtitles. So you're getting 2 reviews for the price of one. Probably, depending how different the stories are.
What's your thoughts? Because I found this one and recommended it to you. So I want to hear your take on this.
It took 2.5 sittings to watch it because it's 2.5 hours long. The dubbing in this version is horrible. I mean, it's bad. It's like they didn't even attempt to match the words to the lips. I mean, it was that bad. So that's part of the reason why it took 2.5 sittings to get through. But once it got going, the story was still interesting enough to keep me in it. And it is very, very live action anime. Like you said, all the tropes are fucking there, and you've seen this story a bazillion times if you watch any anime or any sci-fi movie in the last 10 years, like Elysium or something like that. Yeah. Very, very similar in a way, or even Blade Runner, even go back that far, the Earth is a fucking trash heap. It's fucking dying. All the rich people are getting the fuck out. All the poor people are fucking left behind. If you're working for the man, you're getting like buried in debt, like ruthlessly, just to make a living. And you're not making a living. You're just digging yourself a deeper hole. So that was pretty interesting. The child character in my version was Dorothy. What was she called in your version?
Sun-Yi, I think.
No, well, Sun-Yi in my version was the.
Or was that his daughter?
Was a daughter that got lost.
Oh, the daughter that died, whose body Yeah. Well, shit, I don't recall her name off the top of my head. I just.
See, you should have watched the dub version like me. You would have remembered.
But yeah, the little girl really makes this movie.
Yeah, she really does.
She is originally, they're told that she's an android and that she's actually like got a nuclear bomb implanted in her, and she's basically being used by terrorists so that they can blow up colonies in space and all that. Not that this is a major spoiler, but all that turns out to be bullshit. That's not at all what she is or why they're trying to actually kill her. But I think the best part of this movie is when you get to find all the characters' backstories. And I really do think that that's what makes this so compelling, because it kind of it explains who these characters are, and at the same time it explains what their motives are for getting involved in this whole thing, and how they become attached to the little girl throughout the course of the film.
Well, really the one, at least in the version I watched, the one they really focus on a whole lot is the pilot. The guy that lost his daughter really gets the meat of the development in this. The other ones get a little bit, Tiger gets a little bit, and the captain is called Captain Johns in my version of it for whatever reason. They get a little bit of development. The android just a tad. The only thing you really find out about the android is that she wants to be skinned so she can look like a girl. Although in my version of it, it has a man's voice.
Yes. Yes, it
Okay,
does
so
have
even
a
your
man's
version
voice. As
still
a
has a
matter of
man's
at the
voice.
very end of the movie, when the girl comes in after he's gotten his skin job and it looks like a full-blown female and speaks for the first time, that is like one of the genuinely laugh out loud moments, because you don't know who the hell it is until you hear the voice, and the minute you hear the voice, you're like, oh, okay, that works. So I really enjoyed that part of it. But for me, like, this is another one of those movies that it's definitely sci-fi. It's definitely tropey. It's got all that, but at the same time, it works. It's like Korean cinema has this knack at taking a million different genres, throwing it all into a blender, and coming out with something that's coherent and is actually engaging and fun to watch. And when I found this and told you about it, I was like, this is like the most fun space opera that I've watched in probably 15, 20 years. And I stand by that, because it was genuinely endearing. I got attached to these characters. If McFarlane makes action figures, the shits are going to wind up right back there on them shelves. So I'm just saying. And I've seen enough movies to where it's like, This one, I turn it on with no expectations, got really into it, got to the end. Karen's crying at the end of the movie. so she got sucked into it too. And what was even funnier was that Tony came in and was like, what are you watching? I'm like, Space Sweepers. He's like, well, what's that? I'm like, shh, sit down and watch it. And he stayed all the way through the end of the film and was like, well, shit, now I got to go back and watch the beginning of it so I know what that was all about. So I dug it. I really did enjoy it. So I hope you did too, but savage it. Go for it. I know it's coming.
So I mean, the majority of the elements are solid. It's all there, but it's embellished a little bit too much. I think it went on a good 40 minutes longer than it was necessary. I think they could have trimmed out quite a bit of stuff out of there. The other thing I didn't like is the editing was very, very sloppy. There's a scene where Tiger swings out to grab Dorothy, and as far as you're concerned, he like swings out like into the nothing, but yet 2 seconds later he's on the ship Victory. I'm like, how the fuck did you get there? You were swinging that way into fucking oblivion, and yet here you are in the ship. So there's a lot of things like that. They did do a great job with the sets. The sets were great. The sets are fantastic. The CG for, especially since you tell me it's a $30 million budget, was done really well for $30 million. I mean, it looks
really does.
Yeah,
it looks like an infinitely more expensive film than it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like 90 to 100.
Yeah.
At least that's what it costs here in the States to make that same level of shit.
And not just the quality of the effects, but the volume of them, because the android character is completely CG throughout the entire film, and a lot of the backgrounds are digital set extensions or whatnot, and all the exterior space scenes, and that's the other thing too. The space chase scenes with the ships, they're genuinely exciting, but at the same time, they're not confusing to watch, and it is breakneck how quick some of that shit is happening on film. And this just seems to be yet another one of those knacks that they have. They know when to hold the camera still and when to move things around and when to have a lot of action with the ships and the camera and the guns and the this and the that. So I can appreciate just the craft of this film.
The craft is good. The story itself is good. They do jam a shit ton of elements in this story. Like I said, they could have trimmed off some of the fat. But overall, the story is good. It's not going to be a recommend for me though. At least I can't recommend the dub version. That's for goddamn sure. It was painful to watch. It was only the fact that the story was decent enough to carry me through. So if you're hardcore sci-fi, I mean hardcore to the bone sci-fi, watch it. Watch the dub. Don't watch the dub version. Watch the
Watch the
subtitles.
subtitle version.
Yeah.
And,
And
a quick note about the subtitle version. The cast. There's a French character. There is Russian characters. There is American characters, and there are Korean characters. Everybody speaks their native language, and then
it's the same
there's subtitles for everybody except for the English speakers, at least in the version that I watched. So
it's the same here. In the dub version, everybody's got their own language.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So it didn't change too much there. Yeah. So definitely watch the subtitle version instead. But other than that, if you're a casual sci-fi fan, you probably won't make it very far at all. Especially if you don't like Korean or foreign films, I absolutely cannot recommend it for you. If you want to dabble into Korean or international films, watch our previous review of The Call.
So I was just going to say, I just kind of find this whole thing fascinating, that it seems like a lot of Hollywood studios are trying to make films that appeal to foreign markets. So they're dumbing down American films so that it's easy to export them and nothing gets lost in the ideas. And by the same token, Koreans and Japanese seem to be making films with an eye on exporting them to Western markets, and yet they're doing exactly the opposite. They're getting much more involved and much more character driven, and they're not dumbing it down, and those films are filtering over here. And I think that they're actually the product that we're importing is much better than the product that we're exporting right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. No, yeah, studios take a cue from the people across the pond. Yeah. And yeah, because you're doing it wrong. You're absolutely doing it wrong. I mean, yeah, Japanese and Asian storytelling is fucking out there, and you have to pay attention to every fucking thing. And sometimes you have to watch it multiple times to get it, just because it's just a different culture altogether. So I mean, we don't need to dumb down our simple American, plot threads, stuff like that. Believe me, they'll get it.
Yeah, if the movie's good enough, it's going to stand up regardless of the language or the culture barrier. It will get past that. But after watching Mortal Kombat and Godzilla versus Kong and all the Transformers movies and all that crap, which was very obviously made to be exported to a worldwide market, and it's kind of insulting to see just how dumbed down they are. And this is proof positive that, you can make a film, make a quality story, make quality, interesting characters, and it will translate. So quit worrying about it. I guess they just don't want the people that write subtitles to have to work that hard. So that's what I got for you, man. So Mike, what are we quick and dirty next?
I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. You said there's a shitty
Hugh Jackman
movie.
So let's do that again. So Mike, what are we quick and dirty next?
That shitty Hugh Jackman movie. I don't know what the fuck it is. It doesn't matter. It'll suck. We'll tell you it sucks. And again, we watch it so you don't have to. So you can thank us at the end of the review.
Sorry, Wolverine. Well, anything else? No. Well, we will catch you next time on Quick and Dirty, but not International.